Welcome to Ravenwoods. If you're looking for a good scare, then you've come to the right place. On this channel, we'll be exploring some of the scariest true ghost stories from the internet. From haunted houses to ancient curses, we'll be digging deep into the mysteries of the supernatural. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be spooked. Number 1. My family moved into a new house when I was 10. The first night, I woke up because I felt the covers getting pulled down slightly off my body. I then felt the weight of someone sitting on the end of my bed. I opened my eyes, annoyed that my dad had woken me up for some reason. When I looked down at the foot of my bed, there was nobody there, just the indent as though someone had been sitting on the edge. My door was closed and no one had come in. After moments of silence, I sat up in bed, debating whether or not to make a run for it and go down the long hallway to my parents' room. Before I even took the covers off my legs, I heard a man's voice behind me in my left ear say, "Jessica." Then I saw someone move my hair around my ear and push it forward and slightly brushed my face, as if they were blowing air from behind my left ear. I spent the rest of the night sleeping in my parents' room, and we moved about a year later. My parents still don't like talking about that house. Number 2. When my great-aunt was ill, my grandma was staying at her house. One night she saw my great-uncle Harold standing at the top of the stairs. He'd been dead for about 10 years at that point. My great-aunt died peacefully later that night, and my grandma always said that he was her collecting angel. Number 3. I'm a teacher, and I always lock my classroom during lunch and eat in the lounge. One day I came back from lunch with the kids, and there was a crayon placed in the middle of each square on my classroom rug. There are 20 squares total. The door was locked the whole time. Our school is notorious for being haunted, and this is just one of my many creepy stories. That same year, my classroom phone would ring regularly with nobody on the line, and my printer would just randomly print blank sheets of paper on its own. Number 4. When I was in high school, I made my very own Ouija board using some paint and a piece of wood I found. I invited some friends over one evening while my family was out of town. We played with the Ouija board upstairs around sundown and asked if there were any spirits around who would make themselves known. Suddenly we heard a huge slam downstairs. Everyone freaked out, and I was the only one brave enough to go downstairs to check it out. Our house has this door to the outside that my family never uses, and is always kept locked. It even has one of those little chains, too. But when I went downstairs, the door was wide open, chain off, and everything. My parents were 3 states away, and none of my friends even knew about the door. There's no explanation on how this could have happened. Number 5. I've had dreams where my dead relatives come back and visit me. One night, my grandpa was one of those close relatives in my dream. The next day, I found my mom crying, and she told me that my grandpa had died. Number 6. A few years ago, my plane had to make an emergency landing at a tiny regional airport due to a bad storm. I didn't have money for a hotel, so I was stuck at the airport. All the flights were canceled, everything was closed, and there was hardly anyone around. The power went out and the generator kicked in, but the lights were really dim. I was pacing around trying to stay awake since there were no places to sleep comfortably. Up ahead, I saw a dark shadow against a wall and figured it was another person stuck like me, so I decided to go over and say hi to him. I got almost close enough to see them when a big flash of lightning lit everything up, and there was nothing there. When it got dark again, the shadow was gone. I don't know if it was a ghost, but it was pretty terrifying to experience that all alone, so late at night. Number 7. I used to live in a haunted house. If you left any towels in the bathroom, you would hear the bathtub turn on in the middle of the night, and all of the towels would get thrown into the tub and get soaking wet. After a few days of that, we didn't leave towels in there anymore, and when you took a shower, you could hear a female singing from inside of the wall. Number 8. I lived in a horribly haunted house with my 2 girlfriends. We consistently had weird stuff happening, birds flying into the windows, scratching in the walls, but never really thought much of it. One day, I was taking a nap in my bedroom, and I woke up suddenly because I felt a presence. I opened my eyes and saw a giant figure standing over me that looked like static like you'd see on an old TV. It kept creeping closer until I was finally able to break out of my paralyzing fear, grab the TV remote, and switch it on. The figure disappeared into thin air. I moved out shortly thereafter, but heard that the girl who moved into my room experienced the same exact thing with the giant creepy figure. Number 9. Finally, I've had a couple of experiences in my house. One time, as I was coming down the stairs and stepping off the final step, a clothes hanger flew down the stairs and very narrowly missed my head. It didn't fall. It was thrown at exactly the right height to hit me, and with a lot of force. There was nobody else in the house at the time. Clearly something is out to get me. Number 10. A close family friend had been in a coma for a few weeks before his death and wasn't allowed visitors. Not sure if that was his family's choice or the hospital's policy. I was about 3 at the time, so my parents hadn't been able to visit him before he passed. In our house, we would always leave the hallway light on. It hung near the bottom of the stairs. The morning after he passed, the light was off. My mother spotted it before me. On first glance, she thought the bulb had just blown out, but then she noticed it had been removed from the light and placed carefully on the stairs on a higher step than it would have been able to have fallen somehow. My mother believes that this was his way of saying goodbye before he left. And that's all for this episode. Have you ever experienced any kind of spirits or hauntings? Let me know in the comments. If you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for visiting Ravenwoods, and have a great day.